Hello everybody, welcome to the screencast of DevOps Milestone 2 Test and Analysis. For this milestone, we have used Jenkins as the build server and we have used a sample Apache Maven project for calculator operations. We have created a job inside Jenkins which would track a local repository, and if we try to commit anything, there's a post commit hook which would invoke this particular job. For the purpose of being able to report code coverage results, we have used Cobertura. So we have configured Cobertura for both Maven and Jenkins. This is the pom.xml of our project where we have added the plugin Cobertura. We would first proceed with the task of showing how the tests run and how we can see the code coverage results inside Jenkins. We are working with JUnit tests. So as you can see, the post commit hook got invoked and it has triggered a build inside Jenkins, build number 34. Once this build finishes, we would be able to see the code coverage results. So you can see that there are 3 tests being run as a part of JUnit tests, and the build has performed successfully. So we would now go to the coverage report. You can see that the line and the branch coverage is also called the conditional coverage inside Cobertura. So we can see that it is not 100% right now. We would now go to the next task of fuzzing to improve test coverage, for which we have used Rendoop. We have configured Rendoop inside Eclipse. We would now generate random unit tests using Rendoop for our class calculator.java. This is just manual configuration of the parameters for Rendoop unit tests. So as you can see, there's a new package called Rendoop with 2 different class Java files with the unit tests. We would now commit these changes. This has triggered the build inside Jenkins. So we would go back to the job and see that the build triggered is build number 35. As you can see, the total tests run were 54, and the build finished successfully. Let's go back to the coverage report. So you can see that the coverage has increased, where the conditional coverage has become 2 out of 2, and the line coverage has also increased to 100%. We would now show the third task of static analysis, for which we have used the tool checkstyle. We'd be using the basic or the default checkstyle XML called sunchecks.xml. We've configured the checkstyle plugin inside our Maven and Jenkins. We would now see how the checkstyle error would be reported inside Jenkins. The build triggered here is build number 36. Here we made a change wherein we removed a final keyword inside the parameter, which would be reported as an error through sunchecks.xml. So as you can see, it has passed sunchecks.xml rule set to report checkstyle errors. There are two errors reported by checkstyle with sunchecks.xml. So as you can see, there are two errors, wherein the first one is parameter flag should be final, and there is also another default check for trailing spaces. So we would now do the next part of custom analysis. Here we have picked up the default XML and added two rules to check if either the class name begins with all lowercase, for which we have made this change in calculator.java, and then the next test would check to see if there are any author tags present. We have updated our pom.xml to point to our new checkstyle.xml, and inside checkstyle.xml we've added the two custom regex rules. So we would now trigger a build in response to this. So build number 37 has been initiated on post commit. So the build has finished. We would now go back to the checkstyle report. So you can see that we have added two different checks. The first one for the author tag reports the author error, and the second one for the class name reports the class name must begin with uppercase. We would now go to the next task, where we would reject a commit on in two different scenarios. The first one would be if there's a failed test case, the commit would be rejected. The second one would be if there are any check style errors, the commit would be rejected. We have used post commit hook for this purpose. Inside the post commit hook, we would be checking the status of our build, and if the build fails based on these two criteria, then the commit would be rejected, or we would basically revert to the previous commit. So this is what we are trying to commit as a part of the fifth commit, wherein we added a failed test inside our unit tests. It is now waiting for the status of the build of Jenkins. Jenkins is running build number 38. So as you can see, this commit resulted in a failure, and hence we have reverted to the previous head or the previous commit. So the fifth commit was not successful and it got reset or reverted to the fourth commit. We would now show how check style would result in a failure. For this, we have to do a simple configuration change inside Jenkins, where the build would fail if there are any check style errors. This is to ensure that it fails on check style errors and all the tests pass. Again, it is trying to fetch the status of the build from Jenkins. Build number 39 has been triggered. So as you can see, it picked up the checkstyle.xml rule set and it has reported 5 errors. And you can also see that there are checkstyle violations due to which the build has failed. So we would now go to the last task, wherein we would parse the files to see if there are any security tokens or private SSH keys. We have written a pre-commit hook for this purpose. Inside the pre-commit hook, all the files inside the current git diff would be checked to see if there are any AWS or DigitalOcean tokens based on simple regex, and we would also see if there is any private SSH key. So this is a sample fake tokens file which we have created, which would basically be rejected as a part of the pre-commit. So this is the pre-commit script which would reject this commit if there are any such files inside the current commit. Let's try to commit the fake keys.txt file. So as you can see, once the pre-commit hook ran, it reported the fake keys.txt file to contain a key and it rejected the commit. So if we do a git log, we can see that nothing is proceeded after the 4th commit because they were all failed commits, and hence the commit were reverted back to the 4th commit. Thank you so much.